the title of this talk was "Our Right is a Right-Based Governance Failing Us," and in that it's a fantastic framing of how problematic the situation is. Because is rights-based governance failing us? How can you have governance without rights? If you say it is not failing us, you're going to one end of the spectrum. That's exactly what you want. And if you say yes, I don't like these rights, you're saying what? You don't believe in rights or what? Either way, you're lost. So this is the problem when one side misappropriates words. In India, we see the secularism used to mean something, it means something else. Liberalism used to mean something else, means something else. Same thing with rights. The first question when somebody talks about right to food, or right to health, or right to education is simply, what is a right? Now, Immanuel Kant, a German philosopher, said that rights, there's only one fundamental right, that is the right to liberty. It is innate in you, you are born with it, there's nothing anybody can do about it. And attached to that, other rights, like the freedom of speech, the freedom of religion, free association, these are rights that are based on this, in the sense that it is through your intellect, through your intelligent faculties, that you have a religion or not have a religion, that you will say something in public or associate with people. And these are dependent on that fundamental faculty. So if that is a right, then what is property? On the right, we love to talk about the right to property. It is also, it's a different kind of right, but this is a contracted right, and that's a huge difference. Contract is, comes out of this social contract theory, which is basically saying that we as citizens get together, we agree that the state can do something for us. So if I can buy a house, I have my right to this house, and I also have a right that you guys don't come take over the house. Why is this the case? Because if how to say it? If the only through this sort of mechanism, this understanding, we can function as a society. By saying this land is mine, I'm depriving you of claiming it. So I'll say, look, if you recognize my right to this land, I'll recognize your right to that land, and therefore we can function as a society. That is a contractual right. Now contracts, unlike fundamental rights, can be negotiated. That is the fundamental point. We can very easily say, okay, look, there is eminent domain, there's oil under your land, the government needs to take it out for the welfare of millions of people. If there's gold, if there's uranium, any sort of treasure found, they'll pay you for it. There are laws on how the government can take over. But that is the notion of eminent domain. Why eminent domain comes in when contracts being negotiated? You cannot negotiate away your fundamental right to liberty. Okay. So that is right. Now there's another kind of right, it's like a privilege. Now if you work for the research analysis wing, they will give you a card which gives you the right to access. Doesn't mean that you will have that access anytime for the rest of your life. It means you'll have that access as long as you're in that job. You change your department, you might not have that access anymore, let alone you quit the research analysis wing. So these are three kinds of rights. Now, one of the things Kant also says, which these leftists seem to forget, is that this equality, I don't know the exact quote, but basically it says something to the, it does not constitute upon a claim upon the morality of others. Now, if you see a hungry man there, you might want to give 50 rupees, 10 rupees, whatever, as charity. And that is very good on your part. But you cannot have a law that says you must do that. And that is where your right to education comes in. It is hijacking private infrastructure. It is saying this child has a right to school. Now it is, I think we can all agree that education is a good thing. In India we have a very healthy respect for education. But does that desire for good things to happen, does that constitute a right on the child's part? I don't think so. And that is where we are going wrong. Because we are conflating our goodness with rights. Because with every right will have to come a corresponding duty, is what one American jurist, W.H. Hofeld, said. So, if I have a right that my land will not be encroached upon, for my land not to be encroached upon by you. If I have a right that if I'm paying you for some work, I have a right to your labor. Same way, you will have a right to be paid for that labor. You will have a right for your land not to be encroached upon by me. There are rights and obligations, these things go together. We pay taxes because we expect the state to defend us from our enemies within and without, provide for infrastructure and such things. For right to food, for right to education, for right to health. What is that reverse obligation? What is it that we get? We get nothing. I mean, theoretically, these can be productive members of society, perhaps, we don't know. Maybe they go abroad, I don't know. There are many issues that come into this. This is not worth putting taxpayers' money, a contract like this. Social contracts, by the way, has to have limits. Because they can argue that we have the mandate. I'm sure that this is what they will argue, in fact. We have the mandate, we can, the people have voted for us, therefore we can enact this legislation, which gives food or help. The problem, social contracts is a very, it will have to have limits for the simple reason. That is the same argument I can say when I'm in power. Well, people have voted for me, therefore I have the right to wipe out this entire community because I don't like them. And I have the, since people have voted for me, I have the majority, I have the right to deny these people their right to vote. Because that's what the majority want. They voted for me, why would they vote for me otherwise? Contracts will always have limits, they're not infinite in scope. The right to education, right to food, these things are, perhaps we can argue for a moral case, but morality cannot be legislated. I don't want to take the whole 15, I'd rather leave more time for the questions, but let's see. I think I've essentially covered the whole thing. It's just that I want to point out is that what confuses us is when we talk about animal rights, children's rights, gay rights, right to speech, and in the middle of this we put in right to education. It's very easy to conflate right with contract. There's a fundamental difference, and of course we can oppose them on the grounds of the financial or the other problems we might have with the right to education or the right to health or something. But the fundamental objection comes to their misappropriation of that word right. Somebody says right to education, you say, I'm sorry, it's not a right, that's a desired goal, it's not a right.